The Arizona podcast is brought to you by Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self leveling underlays. They service all of California and they are an awesome company. They speak Spanish and they do amazing work. Check them out at triumph_coatings on Instagram. And if you use the promo code ARROWSUP, you get 10% off. So check them out. On this episode of the Arrows Up podcast, I do a little tiny itty little bit on the NBA, Champions League, and I talk about why people like soccer and scoring and final thought. Enjoy. Arrows Up podcast. Okay. We are last week of the NBA season. I am recording this Tuesday night after all the games have been played. And the season ends on Sunday, everybody. That's it. Sunday. So, not really going to go over the standings because the standings will be what they will be, and I can go over that Sunday after the season end. Just because there's probably going to be maybe, possibly, some movement. But in terms of the playing game, it's going to be from the Pelicans to be either the Pelicans, Suns, Kings, Lakers, Warriors in the West, because the Rockets are out. And in the East, it's going to be a combination of the East is a little crazier, because it could come down to like the Knicks possibly, the Magic, the Cavs, the Pacers, the Sixers, and the Heat, all for that 7-8 seed. But also the Magic and the Knicks can move all the way up to like 2. So with Milwaukee struggling in this to close the season. So I'm going to hold off on any like real NBA stuff just because we're nearing the end, and we kind of just have to let this play out, especially because there's not going to be any super tight things that happen. And the play-in will be what it'll be. So that's quick NBA. Champions League. Look. I don't want to get on here, and I don't want to say that this is the greatest night of Champions League football ever. I'm not going to say that. I don't have the historical perspective to say that, so I'm not going to say that. But this is probably one of the best Champions League days I can remember. We had Real Madrid versus Man City. A lot of hype. We were super excited to see this one. Pep, Ancelotti, City, Real Madrid, in the Bernabeu, Haaland, Bellingham, Vinny, Grealish. It was just like the making of just like everything that came with that matchup. And on the other side, you had Arsenal, Bayern, who's been struggling all season long, and this can salvage the entire season, this tournament. Arsenal, who's had a really good season, and they are in contention to win the English Premier, and if they can beat Bayern and get to the next round of the Champions League, all of a sudden it kind of changes how we think of them as well. And game starts for Real Madrid, Man City. Both games are being played at the same time. So opening moments, 38 seconds in, yellow card to Tchouaméni. And when I first saw it, I thought that was a crazy call to give Tchouaméni a yellow card 38 seconds in. But you see the replay and you're like, okay, makes sense. And Bernardo Silva just hits it from the free kick spot, and he makes Lunin pay for being out of position, not paying attention. 1-0 Manchester City. 2 minutes into the game. Minute 12. And so immediately you think, oh my God, what a disastrous start. This is exactly what City needs. They need to go into Real Madrid and kind of quiet down the Bernabeu. And they got the early goal. And Real Madrid responds with 2 goals in 3 minutes. So by the time we get to the 15th minute, it's 2-1 Real Madrid. And you're like, oh my God, what is this? Real Madrid starts attacking, and they're getting in. They're spreading Man City thin. And then once they got the lead, they kind of reverted back. And as they pushed themselves back, the second half, Man City was just on Real Madrid. They get 2 goals, Foden and Vardiol, 2 bangers. All 3 of Man City's goals were amazing goals. Foden's was a beautiful strike, man. That was beautiful. And Real Madrid respond with Federico with a beautiful pass by Vini and with a finish by Federico Valverde. And 3-3. We go to Man City next week for the second leg, which should live up to the hype. On the other side, Arsenal Bayern. Arsenal start off great. Saka gets in, 11th minute, scores it. But in the 18th minute, Gnabry just takes advantage of the mistake by the Arsenal defense. He scores, and then they both end up getting another one. And just the intensity in both of these matchups, the coaching was phenomenal. And the play, just from top to bottom, was off the charts in both of these games. And it's why Champions League football, once you get to this level, once you're in the quarterfinals, I think it's the best competition in all of sports. It's almost like getting to championship weekend of football. And that's what that is. This is the best way that I can describe it. It's conference championship week in football is the quarterfinals of the Champions League, where the teams that are left are the top teams. That any one of these teams you could see winning the Champions League. And it's the same thing with championship weekend, where the 4 teams that are left, are the 4 teams that you can see hoisting the Lombardi Trophy. And that's what this was. And so it was so awesome to see these games play out that way. And for Real Madrid and Man City, who've played each other 3 straight times, they know each other really well. The return, the second leg, is going to have almost like a boxing feel to it, where neither team's going to want to make the first mistake. And the thing is, if we're going to discuss this as a boxing fight, Real Madrid has the style to make Man City struggle. They do. They really do, because they have the speed to attack and get some goals from City. The problem is when they sit back, because Real Madrid loves to counterattack. And the thing is, you can't counterattack Man City, because if you let them control the ball and find a way to get shots on goal, they're gonna get those shots. And like we saw today, they're gonna get goals off of that. And that's gonna be the key, because can Real Madrid have the stamina to just have go pedal to the metal from start to finish in the second leg? And if they can't, can they limit City when they're sitting back? Because that's where this game is going to be won and lost for both teams. On the other side, Bayern has been so bad this season that I almost think that if Arsenal wouldn't have let Bayern in, I think they would have won today. A lot of it is just you have to be mentally focused for 90 minutes when you go play them in Germany, because if you're gonna have the mental lapses they had today, you're not gonna beat them there. And for Arsenal, that's gonna be the key. Can you stay focused, laser focused, to beat this team? And that's the key. The key to this entire thing is focus and execution for the other one. Tomorrow we have two more, and hopefully they are as good as this one. Atletico Madrid and Dortmund versus and PSG versus Barcelona. So we'll see how theirs turn out. But this is such a beautiful night of football, and I'm so glad I love the sport. Soccer is one of these sports that if you weren't raised with it, you don't love it because you don't understand it. And I'm not the soccer guy. I'm not you don't understand, and like, how dare you, be a casual, blah, 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 blah. That's not me, but I do understand when people say, I don't like soccer. Soccer is boring. I get it, because if you weren't raised with it, there's no way you love the sport. There's no way you understand the intensity of it. It's the same thing with baseball. If you didn't grow up watching baseball and you don't like it, that makes complete sense to me, because baseball, I grew up watching it, so therefore I love it. But if you didn't like it, you almost have to grow up watching it. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that because scoring doesn't happen as often as basketball, you almost need the scoring to be worth more. Like in football, a touchdown is worth 6 points, a 7 with the extra point. And so if a team scores 3 times, that's 21 points. And that sounds better than 3-0. But if your team loses 42-28, your team lost 7-4. 42-28 sounds a lot crazier, and it sounds a lot bigger. Like, oh my God. No, 6-4, sorry. 6-4, not 7. 6-4. But 6-4 doesn't sound as awesome and as crazy as 6-4. 6-4 sounds like, all right, cool. And if soccer were to do that, like where every goal was worth like 5 points, then it'd be different, because it'd be, man, this game was tied 15-15, man. 15-15. Now it's different. Now it has a different feel to it. You think like, oh man, the scoring is high and it's up. And it's like, it's not so much that it's up. It's just, you're just counting by different but by differently, you know. And so, if you don't grow up watching that, and it goes the same thing with baseball. Baseball, you watch it, and it can be a 1-0, it can be 3-1, 3-2. But say like you were to make every single run worth 3, and a home run is worth 4. It changes, because now all of a sudden, the Orioles beat the Sox today 7-1. But if you do where every single run is worth 3, then it's the Red Sox loss, 21-3, and all of a sudden you're like, dang, they got killed. And 7-1 is still them getting killed, but 21-3 just has a different feel to it, So I think that's where the basic thing of not liking it, because if you're saying just pure action, you look at football and you think, well, there's a lot of action there. When in reality, there's like a very, very small seconds of action in between plays. But I understand, I get it. But tonight was such a magical night for the sport, and I'm so happy to be a fan of it. I'm so happy that I get to root for Real Madrid, and what a just great performance. Vinny, for the most part, wasn't good, but he had a really good assist. So therefore, he had a good game, and that's just how these things. That's how these things work. And finally, I have a final thought for tonight. My final thought for today, and I want to get into like the finales of shows. I watched the finale of Curb. Curb is finally finished. I think it was like 10, 12 seasons, something like that. And I think finales have to be some of the most overrated episodes that ever come out. Because I think it's almost impossible to have a good finale just because everybody wants different things. I personally wasn't a big fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm as it kept going. It just wasn't as funny, and it's one of those things that you see the finales, and they made a hint to the Seinfeld finale, and it was very similar to that where they go to jail and all that. I guess spoiler alert if you haven't seen the season finale of Seinfeld. But I think it's time that we take it easy on these creators for the finales. It's impossible to please everybody. It's impossible to have a finale where everybody is satisfied and everybody says, wow, that was amazing. Because everyone's going to always nitpick it. I think one of the best ones is The Wire. And The Wire's finale is pretty much the finale of, well, the city it is what it is. And, old criminals leave and new criminals will come. And the city would just always be like that. So, the end. And that was the finale of that show. And a lot of people love it. I think just maybe the realism of it. But there's just almost no way to please people. So I think it's time that we lower our expectations when it comes to these finales. Just because I think it bleeds into... It shouldn't damage the show. I know people who say... Oh, I was going to watch Game of Thrones, but I heard how much people hated this last season and the finale that I stopped watching it. Game of Thrones is an amazing show. And the finale maybe could have been better, but guess what? It was still a great show. And I think it's time that we don't judge a show on the finale and enjoy it for the whole, the totality of the show. I love Curb Your Enthusiasm. It's a great show. Did I like the final season? Not really. Did I like the last episode? Whatever. But it's a great show. And I think that we should appreciate the totality of things and not just be taken away by one moment, one episode. And we should enjoy the total work of something. That's it. I'll talk to you again on Thursday, as I have some friends coming on. So, till then, I'll talk to you later. That's the pod. We are brought to you by, as always, Triumph Protective Coatings. They specialize in concrete polish, epoxy flooring systems, micro top floors and walls, and self-leveling underlays. They service California, and they speak Spanish. You can follow them, Triumph_coatings on Instagram, and you get a 10% off if you use the promo code ARROWSUP. You can also reach them on Gmail, triumphprotectivecoatings@gmail.com. Thank you to Angel for the music. I will talk to you again on Thursday with, I get some, there's something that happens in the NBA. I'll hit on that. If not, David is coming on. So, talk to you then. Arrowsup Podcast, Enrique Pods, rate, review, and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, and I will talk to you later. Let's go, Lakers. Hala Madrid.